Welcome back. Let's read some more before I get too tired. I was supposed to make some video about it in English, but I just do in my language Danish. So the time is running. It's soon at 2 p.m. So like this HMARS, I read about it because Ukraine, this war in Ukraine, they use this weapon they got from United States. They have some longer range missiles is feeding this HMARS. So this is why I like to read it, because this war in Ukraine like to have some missiles with a longer range, like 1,000 kilometers.
M142 HMARS. M142 redirects here. For other uses, see M142, disambiguation. The M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HMARS, /HAMS/, is a light multiple rocket launcher developed in the late 1990s for the United States Army and mounted on a standard U.S. Army family of medium tactical vehicles, FMTV, M142 truck frame. The HMARS carries one pod with either 6 guided multiple launch rocket system rockets or one ATACMS missile. It is based on the U.S. Army's FMTV 5-ton truck, and is capable of launching all rockets in the multiple launch rocket system family of munitions. HMARS ammunition pods are interchangeable with the M270 MLRS. It has a single pod, as opposed to the standard 2 for the M270 and its variants. The launcher can be transported by C-17 Globemaster, C-5 Galaxy, and Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft. The FMTV truck that transports the HMARS was initially produced by Armor Holdings Aerospace and Defense Group Tactical Vehicle Systems Division, the original equipment manufacturer of the FMTV. It was produced by the Oshkosh Corporation from 2010 to 2017. Development, edit. The requirement for HMARS came about in 1982, when the 9th Infantry Division, motorized, saw the need to acquire a light multiple rocket launcher as a counter-fire asset. The requirement failed to gather support from the Field Artillery School and languished for a number of years. The institutional bias at the time was oriented towards heavy forces. With the waning of the Cold War and the growing interest in low-intensity operations, both the Field Artillery School and Missile Command realized that the M270 MLRS was too heavy for rapid deployment and pushed for the funding of HMARS. The Gulf War gave new impetus towards fielding a lightweight MLRS, when the M270 proved too costly in airlift assets to deploy in theater and the launchers did not arrive with the initial wave of U.S. troops. In April 1991, the HMARS concept was tested at White Sands Missile Range, using a modified Honest John launcher. A proof-of-concept prototype of HMARS at White Sands Missile Range, April 1991. HMARS was then developed as a private venture by Laurel Vought Systems, later Lockheed Martin Missiles and Fire Control, to meet this requirement. The system first appeared publicly in 1993. In 1996, the U.S. Army Missile Command awarded Lockheed Martin a $23.2 million contract to build 4 prototypes. In April 1998, the vehicles were delivered to the 18th Airborne Corps for a 2-year evaluation with 3rd Battalion, 27th Field Artillery Regiment. In July 1998, the Army conducted a test firing of the ATACMS. In December 1999, the Aviation and Missile Command awarded Lockheed Martin a $65 million contract for engineering and manufacturing development. Under this contract, Lockheed Martin delivered 6 HMARS in late 2001 for Army evaluation. In April 2003, the Army awarded Lockheed Martin a $96 million contract to begin low-rate initial production. Around this time, the Marine Corps placed an order for 2 units for evaluation purposes. The launcher system and chassis are produced by Lockheed Martin Missiles and Fire Control in Camden, Arkansas as of 2019. Design, edit. The HMARS is similar in design to the M270 Multiple Launch Rocket System, MLRS, with the main exception being that it is a wheeled vehicle as opposed to a tracked vehicle. The HMARS can carry the same type of pods as the M270, but carries 1 pod while the M270 carries 2 pods. The HMARS windows are made of sheets of sapphire laminated with glass and polycarbonate. The HMARS was also tested as a unified launch system for both artillery rockets and the SLAM-RAM surface-launched variant of the AMRAAM anti-aircraft missile. In October 2017, a Marine Corps HMARS fired a rocket while at sea against a land target for the first time from the deck of the amphibious transport dock USS Anchorage, demonstrating the system's ability to operate while on ships to deliver precision fire from a standoff range against shore defenses. The vehicle's targeting software was reworked so it can better fire while on a launch platform in motion. By early 2022, Lockheed Martin was producing HMARS at a rate of 48 launches annually, but following the start of the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, that rate was increased to 60. In October 2022, the company announced it would boost production to 96 systems annually in response to increased demand caused by the war. Limitations in building new industrial capacity means it will be several months before production can be ramped up from 5 to 8 vehicles monthly. Operational history, edit. Domestic deployment, edit. HMARS first entered service in June 2005 with the 27th Field Artillery, 18th Airborne Corps at Fort Bragg, recently renamed Fort Liberty, in North Carolina. Afghanistan and the Middle East, edit. 3 prototype HMARS launchers were successfully used during the Iraq War. The 1st U.S. Marine Corps Battalion equipped with HMARS, the 2nd Battalion, 14th Marine Regiment, was deployed to Iraq in July 2007. In February 2010, the International Security Assistance Force, ISAF, for Afghanistan indicated in a press release that 2 rockets fired from a HMARS were believed to have fallen 300 meters short of their intended target, killing 12 civilians during Operation Mosh Tariq. ISAF suspended the use of the HMARS until a full review of the incident was completed. A British officer later said that the rockets were on target, that the target was in use by the Taliban, and that use of the system had been reinstated. Reports indicated that the civilian deaths were due to the Taliban's use of human shields. The presence of civilians at that location had not been known to the ISAF forces. A report in the New York Times in October 2010 credited the HMARS with aiding the NATO offensive in Kandahar by targeting Taliban commanders' hideouts, forcing many to flee to Pakistan, at least temporarily. In November 2015, the U.S. Army revealed that it had deployed the HMARS to Iraq, firing at least 400 rockets at Islamic State, ISIL, targets since the beginning of that summer. HMARS detachments were sent to Al-Assad Air Base and Al-Taqadjum Air Base in Al-Anbar Governorate. In March 2016, a U.S. Army HMARS fired rockets into Syria for the first time in support of Syrian rebels fighting ISIL, from launchers based in neighboring Jordan. In January 2016, Lockheed announced that the HMARS had reached 1 million operational hours with U.S. forces, achieving a 99% operational readiness rate. In April 2016, it was announced that the U.S. would be deploying the HMARS in Turkey near the border with Syria as part of the battle with ISIL. In early September, international media and the U.S. State Department reported a newly deployed HMARS had engaged ISIL targets in Syria near the Turkish border. In October 2016, HMARS were stationed at Kaira Airfield West, some 65 kilometers, 40 mi, south of Mosul, taking part in the Battle of Mosul. In June 2017, a HMARS was deployed at Al-Tanf, Syria, to support U.S.-backed rebels in the area. On the 24th of May 2018, a HMARS strike killed 50 Taliban fighters and leaders in Musa Qala, Afghanistan. 3 rockets struck the building within a 14-second time span. In September 2018, U.S. support forces coordinated with Syrian Democratic Forces fighting to defeat ISIS in East Syria in the Deir ez-Zor campaign, sometimes striking ISIS positions with GMLRS rockets 30 times per day. The HMARS used in this support operation were located in the Omar oil fields, some 25 kilometers, 16 mi, north of the ISIS-controlled targets. Ukraine, edit. On the 1st of June 2022, the U.S. announced that it would be supplying 4 HMARS to Ukraine with M31 GMLRS unitary rockets. On the 23rd of June, the first HMARS arrived in Ukraine, according to Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov. On the 25th of June 2022, Ukraine started deploying the system against Russian forces during the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. According to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhnyi, artilleryman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine hit military targets of the enemy on our Ukrainian territory. The Ukrainian military stated that this first strike, on a Russian base in Izium, killed over 40 soldiers. The day before, a second batch of 4 was announced to be delivered in mid-July. On the 1st of July, a U.S. defense official told reporters that Ukraine had been using the system to destroy Russian command posts, selecting targets and then accurately hitting them, degrading Russian capability. On the 18th of July, Zaluzhnyi said, an important factor contributing to our retention of defensive lines and positions is the timely arrival of M142 HMARS, which deliver surgical strikes on enemy control posts, ammunition and fuel storage depots. Another 4 HMARS were announced for delivery on the 8th of July, the delivery spacing driven by the weeks-long process to train Ukrainian troops on how to use the platform. To avoid escalating the conflict, the U.S. restricted Ukraine from using HMARS to attack targets on Russian territory. For the same reason, the U.S. had not provided Ukraine with the longer-range HMARS missile, which could easily engage targets inside of Russia. A 4th batch of 4 was announced on the 20th of July, bringing the total number of HMARS committed to Ukraine to 16. Ukrainian Defense Minister Reznikov stated that the country needed at least 100 of the system and that by that point, 8 systems had destroyed 30 command stations and ammunition storage facilities, decreasing the intensity of Russian shelling and slowing their advance. In that announcement, it was revealed that the number delivered had reached 12 launchers. That number had increased to 16 by the 1st of August. On the 30th of August, 2022, The Washington Post reported on Ukrainian claims to have successfully used decoy HMARS units made out of wood to draw at least 10 Russian 3M54 calibre cruise missiles. One U.S. diplomat stated that Russian sources had claimed more HMARS destroyed than the U.S. had sent. A Pentagon official had earlier in the month asserted that no HMARS had been destroyed at that time. On the 8th of September, U.S. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, told reporters, "We are seeing real and measurable gains from Ukraine in the use of these systems. For example, the Ukrainians have struck over 400 targets with the HMARS and they've had devastating effect." A further 18 HMARS were announced on the 28th of September, as part of an aid package aimed at meeting Ukraine's mid- and long-term needs, so deliveries are to begin in 6 months at the earliest. Ukraine had previously been provided with only M142 unitary warhead missiles, which are not ideal against targets spread over large areas, as the deadly chunks are not designed to fly far. As of early October they have been granted the M141, which uses the alternative warhead that can cover up to half a square mile of land in a single salvo with 180,000 tungsten steel BB-sized balls. The U.S. announced on the 4th of October that 4 more HMARS launchers would be provided from U.S. military stockpiles, to increase the total to 20 HMARS in Ukrainian service. HMARS attacks by Ukraine have been credited with destroying, Russian command notes, tens of thousands of howitzer artillery rounds and a staggering 20 million small arms rounds. As of the 11th of November, 2022, a senior U.S. official stated no HMARS systems have been destroyed after 5 months in operational use. As of February 2023, CNN reported that Ukraine had expended approximately 9,500 GMLRS rockets. In response to the effects of HMARS, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu declared the HMARS system as a high-priority target for Russian troops. Ukrainian officials identified Russia's loitering munitions as the biggest threat to the HMARS. On the 5th of May, 2023, it was reported that Russia was able to jam GMLRS rockets' GPS guidance system, making strikes less precise. In addition to GPS guidance, GMLRS rockets have an inertial navigation system which, by definition, cannot be jammed, but it is less precise alone than when it is coupled with GPS guidance. On the 10th of February, 2024, 2 Ukrainian HMARS systems were seen arriving on board an Antonov Airlines M142-100M at Harrisburg International Airport in Pennsylvania. Both systems appeared damaged, with one having cracked windows in the crew compartment, and the other missing its front right wheel. On the 5th of March, 2024, a Ukrainian HMARS system was destroyed for the first confirmed time, after being tracked by a Russian drone and targeted with a missile near Nikolaevka, Donetsk Oblast. HMARS has been used to strike Russian troop concentrations with GMLRS. Groups of Russian troops out in the open have been killed in these strikes, with a strike in February 2024 killing up to 65 Russian soldiers. HMARS has also been used to strike Russian troop concentrations in hard cover, with a HMARS strike on a Russian base in Makiyivka killing 89 Russian soldiers on the admission of the Russian government, although BBC News Russian could confirm at least 139 dead Russian soldiers. HMARS has destroyed a Russian long-range S-300 forward/S-400 surface-to-air missile system in Belgorod. On the 9th of August, 2024, HMARS destroyed a convoy of Russian troops in the Kursk Oblast of Russia in what Russian mile bloggers described as one of the bloodiest attacks of the entire war. On the 15th of August, 2024, the second confirmed loss of a HMARS system occurred in the Sumy region, making the total loss to 2 destroyed and 2 damaged. Armament, edit. The HMARS can fire the following rockets and missiles. MLRS, edit. MLRS is a series of 227mm rockets. See section MLRS in main article M270 Multiple Launch Rocket System for more details on the M26. 1 M26 rockets carrying 644 Pike M77 submunitions. Range, 1532 km, 9.319.9 mi. 2 M26 A1 rockets carrying 518 M85 submunitions. Range, 1545 km, 9.328.0 mi. 3 M26 A2 rockets carrying 518 M77 submunitions. Range, 1545 km, 9.328.0 mi. 4 A2 German M26 variant carrying 28 A2 anti-tank mines. Range, 1538 km, 9.323.6 mi. 5 GLSDB, Swedish M26 rocket-based flying bomb carrying SDB. The M28 rockets are a variant of the unguided M26 rockets of the M270 system. Each rocket pod contains 6 identical rockets. 1 M28 practice rockets. An M26 variant with 3 ballast containers and 3 smoke marking containers in place of the submunition payload. 2 M28 A1 reduced range practice rocket, RRPR, with blunt nose. Range reduced to 9 km, 5.6 mi. 3 M28 A2 low-cost reduced range practice rocket, LCRRPR, with blunt nose. Range reduced to 9 km, 5.6 mi. GMLRS, edit. Guided Multiple Launch Rocket System, GMLRS, 227mm rockets have an extended range and add GPS-aided guidance to their inertial navigation system. GMLRS rockets were introduced in 2005 and the M30 and M31 rockets are, except for their warheads, identical. As of the 1st of December, 2021, 50,000 GMLRS rockets have been produced, with yearly production now exceeding 9,000 rockets. Each rocket pod contains 6 identical rockets. Both Lockheed Martin and the U.S. Army report that the GMLRS has a maximum range of 70+ km, 43+ mi. According to a U.S. Department of Defense document, the maximum demonstrated performance of a GMLRS is 84 km, 52 mi, a figure also reported elsewhere. Another source reports a maximum range of about 90 km, 56 mi. In 2009, Lockheed Martin announced that a GMLRS had been successfully test-fired 92 km, 57 mi. 1 M30 rockets carrying 404 Pike M141 submunitions. Range, 1592 km, 9.357.2 mi. 3,936 produced between 2004 and 2009. Production ceased in favor of the M30A1. The remaining M30 rockets are being updated with either the M30A1 or M31A1 warhead. 2 M30A1 rockets with alternative warhead, AW. Range, 1592 km, 9.357.2 mi. GMLRS rocket that replaces the M30's submunitions with approximately 182,000 preformed tungsten fragments for area effects without unexploded ordnance. Entered production in 2015. This warhead is superior not just because it does not use cluster munitions but is also superior to a normal high-explosive round. A high-explosive round is very impressive because it produces a big bomb and large pieces of shrapnel. but this round is small pellets and covers a much larger area. The M30A1 uses a proximity sensor fuse mode with a 10-meter burst height. 3 M30A2 rockets with alternative warhead, AW. Range, 1592 km, 9.357.2 mi. Improved M30A1 with insensitive munition propulsion system, IMPS. Only M30 variant in production since 2019. 4 M31 rockets with 200 pound, 91 kilograms, high explosive unitary warhead. Range, 1592 km, 9.357.2 mi. Entered production in 2005. The warhead is produced by General Dynamics and contains 51 pounds, 23 kilograms, of PBX 109 high explosive in a steel blast fragmentation case. 5 M31A1 rockets with 200 pound, 91 kilograms, high explosive unitary warhead. Range, 1592 km, 9.357.2 mi. Improved M31 with new multimode fuse that added airburst to the M31's fuse point detonation and delay. 6 M31A2 rockets with 200 pound, 91 kilograms, high explosive unitary warhead. Range, 1592 km, 9.357.2 mi. Improved M31A1 with insensitive munition propulsion system, IMPS. Only M31 variant in production since 2019. 7 GMLRS rockets with extended range beyond 150 km, 93 mi. Rockets use a slightly increased rocket motor size, a newly designed hull, and tail-driven guidance while still containing 6 per pod. It will come in unitary and AW variants. The first successful test flight of an GMLRS occurred in March 2021. Lockheed Martin anticipates adding the to its production line in the fiscal year 2023 contract award, and is planning to produce the new rockets at its Camden facility. Full operational capability is planned for 2025. In 2022, Finland became the first foreign customer to order a GMLRS. In November 2022, Lithuania announced that it will obtain GMLRS. In February 2023, Poland ordered GMLRS AW missiles. GLSDB, edit. Main article, Ground-Launched Small Diameter Bomb. The Ground-Launched Small Diameter Bomb, GLSDB, is an M26 rocket-based weapon made by Boeing and the Saab Group, who modified Boeing's GBU-39 Small Diameter Bomb, SDB, with the addition of an obsolete M26 rocket motor. It has a range of up to 150 km, 93 mi. ATACMS, edit. Main article, ATACMS. The Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, is a series of 610 mm surface-to-surface missile, SSM, with a range of up to 300 km, 190 mi. Each rocket pod contains one ATACMS missile. As of 2022, only the M48, M57, and M57E1 remain in the U.S. military's arsenal. 1 M39, ATACMS Block I, missile with inertial guidance. The missile carries 950 M74 anti-personnel and anti-material, APAM, bomblets. Range, 25,165 km, 16,103 mi. 1,650 M39 were produced between 1990 and 1997, when production ceased in favor of the M39A1. During Desert Storm 32 M39 were fired at Iraqi targets, and during Operation Iraqi Freedom a further 379 M39 were fired. The remaining M39 missiles are being updated to M57E1 missiles. The M39 is the only ATACMS variant, which can be fired by all MLRS and HMARS variants. 2 M39A1, ATACMS Block IA, missile with GPS-aided guidance. The missile carries 300 M74 APAM bomblets. Range, 23